Right, getting started. Let's wait a few seconds for the platforms to pick up the signal. And I guess we're live anyways. This is going to start. So we're back here onto the development of the RigBuilder and our face rig and into the challenge of creating our skin cluster or our skin weights export import. So we had an issue on the last streams or demand for a optimization on this particular characteristic of the rig or the rig builder, which is that it was taking way too long for us to import export weights, and this is a basic characteristic of the thing, and we need to figure this out. So initially I was working with Python and just standard Maya commands to export the skin clusters and import it back, and that was just not working very well. Was actually works very well. It's just way too slow. So right now, what we are going through is that. So that's the point of the development that we are, and that's going to make it possible for us to do much greater things. Also, the approach with OpenMaya has other functionalities that are more interesting as well, and we'll be able to apply that into other deformers as well. So Bob here is spinning as usual. How's it going, buddy? All good? Nice. I need to get another position for him so that he can rest his jaw a little bit. I feel tired just looking at it. And as usual, if you want to participate, please leave a comment, and we'll be talking about the development of this project and the techniques in general for rigging Python, OpenMaya, Qt, or whatever life in general you want to talk about. Today is very hot in Vancouver, so I'll be sweating all through this stream, and I'll be, just drying up myself back again, and that's how it will be. So it's Saturday. I don't expect to be in the company of many people, but let's keep working here. This is a good way for me to think. As usual, I just one of the reasons why I do this live is just to keep talking. It helps me think, and also helps me keep focused here for whatever amount of time that I can stream. And yeah, let's keep going. So what we have here, as I said, on the other stream, is we're working with some information from Chad Vernon here. A big shout out to Chad Vernon for this piece of information. Let me see if I can find the dude here, Chad Vernon, because he is definitely helping me out here. And he's a technical art director, new media division at Skydance. So he's not a random dude. He's a very established guy, it seems. I'm just gonna send a message, just gonna send an invitation, and if he accepts, I'll be giving him props for everything. And so what he's giving us then is this piece of code here and some tutorials here that I was going through to figure out if it was something viable for us, and it is going to help us a lot. So I extracted then this piece of code here from all the functions that he has, and just to make it straightforward for us to analyze the code. And I'm just executing this almost line by line to understand what are the things doing, because OpenMaya has a pretty different way of operating. And we also have the documentation for OpenMaya here open in my other monitor, and I can see here it's pretty clean for the documentation. I'm getting a better feeling for the way it works, and I'm feeling more comfortable in reading the documentation. It seems once you understand how it passes the information from one place to the other, or how do you what is the MDAG path, or what was the MDAG object, and etc., which, by the way, I'm still figuring, like, consolidating this knowledge in my mind. but every time I pick it up to try to build something, it is a little bit easier. So to get started, I'll just start renaming some of these variables here that I got from Chad, uh, because they are not according to PEP 8. And also they're not according to PEP 8, but like sometimes who cares, you know? But let's try that, because OpenMaya is not according to PEP 8, so you know it's understandable. So just removing here some of the camel case variables that the code is complaining about. Pu what? Pu int. Yeah, so this one here is one that I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I mean, PyCharm is even helping us reformat this. Rename all occurrences and boom. All right, so what's happening now is that we are this particular function here, that is a utility function, now is already able to define the dictionary with the weights. And so inside of this is also a dictionary. So inside of this dictionary, then we have the influence names and the weights for each influence name. It is not particularly straightforward. I mean, I have the file, or the dictionary is gigantic. You can see here, like, I think it is almost 96 megabyte, or I don't know how to translate bytes into megabytes, but we have the influences and the weights, the weight values. Now, how exactly this is reading inside of the OpenMaya, we can read here. I've read it a few times already. So basically, to get the weights, you're going to be using uh, in the classes, we're going to be using MFN skin cluster, and then on MFN skin clusters we have skin cluster, we have get weights. For that, then we need the shape and the components and the influences. So all of this to get this all at once, to get all of the influences at the same time, and this is what we need. And then when you do this, it will return the skin cluster weights of the given influence objects on the specified component of the deformer shape. So that, if that makes any sense. So it's returning the skin cluster weights of the given influence. So if you have one influence, is going to be then returning the weights for that influence. Meaning, if you have such a like a joint, then it's going to be returning the influence, like what's the array of influences, that the influence values that it has. If no influence index is provided, then a tuple containing the weights and the number of influence objects will be returned. If a single influence index is provided, this is, I think this is a typo. If a single influence index is provided, the array of weights will be returned, one per component, in the same order as in components. Okay, in the same order. So this is an important information that I have missed before. So you have the single influence index. So meaning, from all of the joints that are attached to the skin cluster node, they are attached in a list type order, so they have an index. So then let's go again. So if you provide this index, an array of weights will be returned. then an array of weights will be returned. One An array of weights will be returned, one per component. Okay, so this makes a lot more sense to me. So because what it's saying here is that if you have one joint, yeah, let's keep going. One per component. Okay, so the components then are say the vertex, right? So if you have x amount of vertex being affected by that influence, then it's going to return an array of weights, one per component, in the same order as components. So how? Okay, so the component then, yeah, okay. So whatever the order of components you provide, then it's going to be returning that in that order. That makes sort of sense. If an array of influence indices is provided, an array of weights will be returned containing as many weights for each component as there are as there are influences in the indices array. Whew. Okay, so kind of a mind-bending thing here. The weights will be in component order. Yeah, all of the weights, all of the weight values for the first component, followed by all the weight values for the second component, and so on. Okay, so kind of a thing that we're gonna have to absorb here, but it doesn't matter because fortunately, Chad Vernon has provided us with the code for this, and we already have it here. So utils create from int fn.get weights. So this is where it's getting the weights. So let me just name this parts here, and this is the code that I was using. So this is let's just start commenting this. So this is get skin cluster. Oh god, name and object, and then we are also obviously defining the data dictionary. So then we will be getting our members. Fnsat. So first of all, we're getting the skin cluster defining. Let me check here one thing. Yeah, so we are basically just defining. We're not getting anything. We're just defining skin cluster m object. So after that, then we are finally then here going to. So we're no we're yeah we're using the variable here node, and we are defining the dictionary with the name, but that's an object. It's not. No, it's actually the name. Okay, so now what? Let me see what this is. Yeah, I had it already there. Okay, so Let's go down here. Get current weights, and then that is here. So this is actually the get current weights. Cluster weights. And then I'm going to move on into, or move back into getting the component. I believe this is components. Yeah. So it's getting the components and the DAG path. So get components and DAG path. Get DAG and member components of skin shape. Get. Let's put in the same order as he did here. As a matter of fact, I might as well just get this entire comment here. So all right, so okay, so then we'll move on into this third part here, which is get the current, actually getting the current weights. Yeah, no, this is what we did. And then this is the getter all influence weights. We have the weights there. Now it's comparing everything, and so it's like a symbol final dictionary to export. So okay, so what I will do then is register this method here. And let's test what is going to come out of it. So on the export function here, create an import, get skin clusters, export skin. It's just dumping that dictionary on a file path. File path, dump data. It has the data. We have the data, so it's just dumping that with the file extension of the skin. But I don't mind the file extension right now. So yeah, so after that, so this is going to export. So this is a fixed, for now, it's just a static method that I'm just using for testing. Later on, I'm going to refine and make a variable and able to export the proper thing. So I believe that I have a function then that is an utility here in my rig tools. And file name, the output dictionary, file name, and this is the function that I want. And this is in my utilities. So this, and then tp utils dot export dictionary as JSON, and this is going to be the data, so that we can just look at the dictionary and see, okay, so this is what we have in getting out on the output of the dictionary. So this is the data, and this is the, like, the file name is going to be whatever, skin cluster. Nope. Be skin cluster dot JSON. I don't remember if I need to have the JSON here. Let me check. File name. I think it's going to be pretty literal. Yeah, it already has the JSON, so I don't need to add the JSON here. And the directory path then is going to be the same as the other one that I have here. Also on the utils, actually. In cluster manager. Okay, so I'm gonna get the path manually for this one. Doesn't matter. So let me just do something like this, and then this. And I'm also going to add like just an index here because I don't want to override the current skin cluster that we have there. And I will then be getting this project folder. It is in data, skin clusters model. And this is the guide that we need. So then, where am I here? Okay, got it. So what happens then when you bring in this is that it's going to have the backslash instead of the forward slash. So we need to just change this and we should be good to go. This sounds good. I think we're good to test at least. Let's see what comes out of it if it's not going to break. So we have our rig here and our rig builder. They are working well so far. We have everything to build the rig. As I said before, we can, so this is our rig builder here. And this is what we've been working for 18 sessions already of live development with about 1 hour to 2 hours each. So something, it could be, it's less than 30 hours of development, but still, well, it's actually a good goal. So if I was working full time on this, maybe we would be able to do it in so far less than a week. So that's actually a good target. So if we run this, we're going to see what happens. It's basically recreating this rig as you would expect. It's a rig builder, right? So this is what happens. It brings in the entire data that we need to build this rig. And now I'm going to skin this to the joint hierarchy just so that we get this standard skin cluster here. And now on the pre-build utils, we should have, oh, I haven't registered the method. So let me register that so that we get it over there. And it's going to be self dot register build method. Then it's going to be open my export skin weights. Oh, I don't need the underscores though. So skin weights, and then it is going to be parented to top level item, and it's going to be calling the function called om export skin cluster weights. And that should be it. Now, so we can see that this function is not present here, but if I reload this now, we should be able to see we should be able to see it here. What have I done? I missed something here. Oh yeah, obviously I did it incorrectly here. Sorry about that. So we just need to parent it to the pre-build utilities. So that's going to be pre-build utils. And now if we reload it, It should be here. Okay, OpenMaya export skin weights. So now when I run this, the objective is to have it exported into this folder here. So this is inside of the project, the project folders that we have for this project. Let's see. So we can see that it's taking a little while or not. I think it's there already. Yeah, it's there. So let's see how big is the file. It's a 7.5 megabytes file. So it's a pretty gigantic file, but it's okay. We can pretty much see what we actually needed, what I was actually looking for. So yeah, I can see, I understand we have the, what I don't understand is how it is then, like it's fine that we have all of these values here, but what is it? It's like, oh, is it all of the vertex? So all of these arrays have all of the vertex in the mesh? Is that what it is? So whatever vertex has influence, I guess it gotta be, right? So yeah, this is what I'm trying to understand with the OpenMaya. So this is what OpenMaya is providing, and also what the code is processing. So what the code is outputting then is this dictionary with this enormous here, this insurmountable amount of, of data, which I believe is this. It's like for each joint, it's going to give us all of the vertex of the mesh, and the ones that has weights are going to be with a different value than 0. So I'm just rolling down here. Oh, I just passed the other one. That's what I wanted to see here. Yeah, and then we have another joint, and there it goes. So for the amount of joints, every joint will have probably all of the vertex on the mesh. Fine. It's if it is that, great. We have rough understanding of the thing, and better than that, it is working already. So at least the export. Now I want to we need to develop also the import, and the import can be on the, so this thing here is importing just, so this is hard coded here. I just exported the name using the name of the skin cluster that was just created. So we have here skin cluster 1 is basically the only skin cluster in the scene, and for that is fine. Probably in the future though, we're going to be, the way to do it is going to be having the selection, so exporting the skin cluster for the selection. Now, will that require adjustments? Probably will, because as far as I can see, this data that it is storing here does not have different meshes. It doesn't allow different meshes. It's accounting only for one single mesh. So either we're gonna have multiple meshes inside of this dictionary, or we're gonna have to do a multi-file export, which I'm not really a fan, because you can start to have problems with, if you like export when you have one single file with all of the skin, like all of the meshes with the skin data. What happens is when you export, that the version that we're exporting is equal, or is a new version for all of the meshes. But if by an accident of any sort you end up not selecting a mesh or anything like that, or you export, you change the name of the mesh and then you export it again, what happens is you may end up with files that are not being used on the skin cluster data folder, or deprecated files, or files that it just becomes messy and it's hard to maintain. So ideally, if we have one single file with all of our meshes and all of our skin cluster data, That'll be great. But then I'm gonna have to modify the code, and it might be something that I'll be doing like on a optimization phase. But usually when you are like working on development, and you leave stuff behind, you never know when you're gonna come back to it. So I might be investing some time on it. Nonetheless, right now we have the export, so let's just move on to the import. So it's going to be OM import skin cluster skin weights. And since in our case the folder is always the same, right? Uh, the folder for the skin clusters is not going to change because, by the way, uh, folder import folder. So we don't need to be variable in this because since our rig builder works on a specific project structure, we're not accounting for variables like the user importing from a different folder or something like that. So now we're getting back into the code that we are going with, and now we're going to be uh, working to make the import part. So what we can see here is, so our export is already working. The import then begins here. So I can start reading the code, and I'm going to do it out loud so that we can do it together. So basically, it's going to check if the variable has a shape, and then it's going to just okay. So it's expecting us to be selecting a mesh, and it's going to, if you're not parsing the file path, then it is going to prompt the user with a file dialog. Then if there's no file path, stop the function. Otherwise, uh, yeah, just get the path. So it's going to read the file, then fine. It's going to use pico for that. Who knows why? And then make sure the vertex count is the same. It's just going to double check to see if the files are making sense. And for that, blend weights. Yeah, so it's getting all the vertex from the selected mesh, and then it's checking the blend weights, which makes sense. So what it's doing here, if we check the skin cluster file here on the blend weights, we should have all. So it's the same principle as here. Like for each influence, we have all of the data for all of the vertex in the mesh, right? So if I got the length of this list here, meaning the size, how many indexes we have in this, then we need to have as many indexes here as we have vertex in the mesh. So that's what it's doing. It's comparing these two things. So the length of the data dictionary on the blend weights, which is this guy here, and you can hear my wife and baby watching some movies in the background. And yeah, so it's going to compare, and then if it's not the same, it's just going to prompt the user with a message saying it's not the same. So check if the shape has a skin cluster. So it's going to get the skin cluster. Yeah, so if get skin cluster is returning the skin cluster, it's going to assign this variable. Otherwise, it is going to create a skin cluster. Okay. Weights keys joints equals to the keys. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so this is the joint list, then it's creating the skin cluster. Okay, so this is then Yeah, it's just creating a bunch of gates here to make sure that the everything's correct. So if there were unmapped influences, ask the user to map them. That seems fine to me, but the nuts and bolts of the yeah, you can definitely hear my wife talking right now. It's fine. I hope it's not uh, that annoying because this is a family house. How's it going, guys? This is we are here on a Saturday afternoon in Vancouver. It's 7:24 right now, and we are on a summer day with 27 degrees, which for Vancouver, geez, it's a lot. And we are super warm here. I'm sweating. It's a good moment for me to just dry out again. Light will be a little better. And keep going. It's been 36 minutes so far streaming, and it's going pretty good today. So checking here then on the import. So it's just creating the skin cluster, and then it's going to set the skin cluster with using this function here, set data. So this is the whole thing. So it's going to use the get components again, set influence weights and set blend weights. Sounds pretty simple to me. So what we need then, get geometry components. It's just the same thing again. And then set the skinning method and normalized weights, which is okay. Set influence weights. This is what we need here. So weights equal get current weights in the mesh. So we have the skin cluster. We have the skin cluster applied for sure because on the beginning of this function, it either created the skin cluster or it knows that there is a skin cluster. So that's fine. So it's going to get the current weights, influence path, number of influences. I would same thing over again. And then if there's no any influence that has no match, it's just going to keep track of influences that has no match. And then it's going to be looping through the data weights items. So the items and weights are the the list. So if we check the data here, this is the items, right? So it's not going to look through the joint name. It's just going to get the list of the vertex influences. So for imported influence, imported weights, items. Wow. No, I think I'm missing the point here. Let me see. Maya, Python, dictionary items. I believe the items is going to return us. Oh no, it's not Maya. It's just Python. I think it's just going to return us a list with both items. Oh, I hate this thing with the W3 school. They have great tutorials, but they make you click the freaking button to get the results. I don't want to try it myself. I want answers. If anybody on this is a great website, by the way. Why do you do this? Just give me the answer. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's going to return a list with the key and the item. So it's fine. It's just a way to simplify this. Okay. So I understand what it's returning. It's returning the joint name, a list, a tuple with the joint name and the influence weight. So it's just just this tuple. So that's what it's doing here. It's already splitting this data in the imported influence and the imported weights. So then it starts establishing a index for the length of the path, the paths that it got, which is basically the names. And that's what it's doing here, getting the partial names again. And then getting influence without I think this is silly. It doesn't, it's totally unnecessary for me to get this influence from string, removing the namespace. And then it is just going to do weights dot set imported weights, blah 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 blah. Okay, so this is that. Then let me just read the entire code here and see. Oh, okay, so if unused and unmatched, then it's giving a different direction to that. Influence in is open my MIT array number of sets fn set. So it's generating a lot of stuff here, just so that at the very end it's okay. Set. What's this weights though? This is the, all right. I'm gonna have to go back into this. Let's go set bookmark. Get current weights. All right, so I just gotta be reading back and forth on this because it's the way the code from our friend here, Chad Vermont, was written. He separated the pieces. I understand he wants to reuse it, but for anyone reading it, it's just kind of a nightmare. I don't know how much, you know, how much is it worth to what point it's worth to separate the, if it's a sequence of actions that you need to do to execute something, and then just because you're going to use the same function two times, you're going to separate it into a into a different method. Then it's just so much harder to read. Like if I have GitHub and other people are getting in and trying to learn from what I'm writing, I just believe it might be better. But I might change my mind. Who knows? Maybe after writing my own code, I'm gonna be like, let me separate this. Then I'm gonna be telling people, no, you should do that. All right, so I have to do kind of the same thing here. Get influence rates. Yeah, let's just copy this entire thing here, and then I will be eliminating the stuff that I don't need. So it's going to obviously be complaining about this. So I may have to redeclare this data. Let me think. Okay, let's go one step after the other. So get current weights. So then if I move here into the get current weights, it's going to be the same thing. So instead of using this get current weights, I have to first So where is this DAG path being declared though? It's requiring you to pass in the DAG path. So it's okay. We're gonna get, as I said, one step after the other, but the weights are being defined here. So then I will just remove this because you already have the weights being defined, and I'm just gonna call this the same name as the actual function that he is using here, or I'm just gonna comment this with the same. So get current weights, and if as I progress then and I understand what it's doing, I will be refining this. But right now it's just like, let's make it work. And get current weights, and we're gonna be then so we have that. So we don't have the DAG path and the components, nor the F and the skin cluster MFN, or at the MFN skin cluster, and that is being defined right here. So again, it's a test. After we have it going, we will be streamlining it and making it work on the proper way. So the skin cluster is being defined. Okay, I'll leave this right. I'll leave this as is for now. So here we have everything we need. All most of what we need that's not present here is before, not after. So just let's just remove the fn here because we don't have it. Still don't have it. And the data here, what is the way it's set? Okay, so the weights, this weights variable is this weights variable, which is an m double array, which is the thing that the set weights from the MFN skin cluster uses. So it is here the weights, right? So it's what it used to. It requires a m double array. If we check here on the documentation, on the set, so we are here influence objects. No, that's not. Is that what we want? MFN skin cluster, and then what we want is the get set. No, the set weights here. So the set weights, you can see that what it needs is the shape, components, influence weights, and it's a m double array for both of them. So this is what it is doing here, is setting up the m double array on the top, and then after, or is defining this this object, and then on the middle here, it is setting then what it actually is. So let me see what it is, this m double array, right? So it's my or open my 2 m double array. So the m double array then let's see if it clarifies or if it makes it work. So the array of double values. So what it is like yeah, it would make sense to me actually. It's an array with tuples. If that what it is, that's what it is. Yeah, it would make a lot of sense actually, because imported weights, yeah, it is. It's most certainly that. Here it is the imported weights and imported weights. Okay, so the import JJ in range. Ooh, this is kind of it's still a mind bender because it's a bunch of information that it's not fully stored in my brain RAM memory yet. RAM, and I'm thinking that I'm going to have to get my coffee. Wow! Baby's running around here. All right, so yeah. É, deixa eu falar bem. Tá tudo bem. Deixa eu brincar aí. Ah, uau! Vem cá, dá oi. Ah, baby, it's naked because it's so hot right now. Mia, say hi. Oh, Mia ali, ó. Meu Deus. Hello. Olha lá. Ali, ó. Aqui, ó. Oh, yeah. Ah, tá se divertindo? Eita! We recorded a little burp from baby. Love you. Arrotou. Ixi, velho, caiu garrafa aberta com água ali. Depois eu. All right, so let's get back here. Sorry. Yeah, as I said, it's a family house, my friends. Whenever you work in that now, so funny. Oh my god. So we're almost there. There's still a few things that needs to be figured out here. Let me see how much time we've been into this live. Well, pretty short live so far. 51 minutes, and we're making some progress. Not the easiest of things to progress here, but we're gonna get there. I'm 100% sure. Okay, so I'm just removing the self. So yeah, here this must go as well. But I gotta go one thing at a time here. Oh my god, things are going wild here right now. All right, so this is the most important thing. The FN set needs to set the correct thing. So we have this on 322. Let me check the set weights. It's the first one. So it's the create and import is the one that we were looking. We have the shape, and I need to check where where is it loading the object. So how did it store the object though? Can you actually store the object as JSON file? Wow, that would surprise me. No, it's fh. That's not fn. So that's not what we need here. So data, then set data. I think that's what we actually need, and that's here. Get the components. Ih, Bê, ela tá sapateando na água aqui. Sorry, guys. I dropped a bottle of water on the floor, and now the baby is stepping over it like this. Like, hey! Oh my god, that's a Saturday afternoon on a family house here, and it's burning hot here for me. Okay, so it's getting the geometry components and it's splitting it into components and path, and then it's passing it to so this is pretty straightforward. It's the same thing that we did before, and let's just check this guy here. So it's basically creating everything. Sorry, oh my god, my voice. It's creating everything here, and we're just going to use the same exact thing here. But I'm not going to use functions for now or methods. I'm just going to do this like a straight thing, because otherwise it's just going to make it more confusing to me to keep you know checking what each function is doing. After we know what it is, what's going on here, we or we are sure about what's going on here, we can then split as it feels better for us. But right now, that's what it is. Okay, so it's getting the geometry component, so that we have already. The only thing that we don't have at the moment is the FN, that it's being defined right in the beginning here, along with the data. Obrigado, obrigado, Ben. All right, so the node, then it begins to get back into the same thing we did here. And then we're defining the data. So basically, honestly, I'll just copy this part here, because it's the same thing. And then, as I said, after I will be creating more flexible variables here, and yeah, but right now it should be all good to go. At least we're able to read the entire thing here, and we know what what it's trying to do. So after we're done with that, I hope that we can then just really quickly import the skin clusters, and that's going to be a big game changer for us here, because after that we will be able to rebuild this rig super fast and get going to the other more important, not more important, every step here is important because it's a building block, but it's going to allow us to focus on the systems that comes next, and hopefully not have to think about the skin cluster import export too soon. All right, so we have the get geometry components that is here. Get current weight. So what I'm trying to figure out here uh is it parse like the data, because the data here now it's yeah, it's going on into the init. Skin cluster set data. So what is the set data? Okay, we're getting back. So the data. Okay, so we got the data. So it's setting the data. So the data here, instead of being this dictionary, it's going to be imported from that file that we have on the project data folder, skin cluster data folder on the project, which is this guy we already have here, import folder. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be using the actual full name of the thing, because right now, since this is a test and we have other file here on the folder, I don't want to make a mistake and import something else, which is going to break the code. What I'm going to be doing is just doing this. Okay, so then I will be, I know that I've done here some imports from the file. Let me get the same exact structure. Blah, blah. Yeah, so this is this. Okay, so first of all, we're going to be getting the file. It's really not necessary. I don't need to list anything there. All I need is the JSON dot, like, to read the JSON. And for that, I know that on my utilities I had something like that. So let's check that out. import JSON, import weights from JSON. So it's getting the files on the JSON or the files on the path. And then it's just assembling, blah, blah. And then where's read JSON from file? That's what we need. And the file is the directory. The directory plus the file name. Fine. So this is our file here. So it's this is equals to tp utils dot read file from JSON, and then we have import. Actually, it's actually path file. So I'm just going to change the name of this variable, import path file. Okay, so we actually have the data already. Actually surprised that it might work. It might work right away. Okay, so to add the node. I don't think it's going to work right away, but anyways, it's how you start testing things. So this is a function that I don't have and I don't want. So I just want to comment this thing out. And this weight remap. I don't. If units didn't, I don't think it's going to come down to this because it's going to be the exact same name of. It might just work, and then we can come and refine and you know. So let's see. So let's register this method here. Actually going to create a new tab there because I just want to have this. So register build methods, skin tools, like the name, and like MG skin tools. And it's going to be, this is going to be in the pre-build utilities. That's it. It has no method, and this then can be added into the skin tools. And then it's going to be register build methods, and I want the new one, which is open my import skin weights. And that's going to be also in skin tools. And now we're going to have om.import skin weights. All right, so that should be good enough for now. So now we should be seeing a new tab here with the skin tools. So this is binded already, I believe. Now, I don't know if the code is doing the, it's creating, is it creating the, um, okay, so it's not creating. So what we do need is then to create like a, sort of an anomaly here. Hmm, let me think, let me think. Yeah, the best thing that I could do is just import the old the previous skin weights, but it's gonna take a lifetime right now. Let me open my skin tools here, my NG. What? Você viu o Ethereum quanto tá? Nossa, o que aconteceu? Tá US$ 4.000. So I was actually checking out some cryptocurrencies here right now. Surprised the value of the Ethereum. Pretty nuts. Look at that. Bitcoin's going it's going up like crazy. Crazy. Totally bananas. All right, so I'll just grab a couple of vertex here and I will. So if I have like the head joint, this is pretty like evenly. This is alt auto. Let me just select all of those guys and just assign it. But you can see it's pretty nuts here. Not very senseless or like it doesn't make much sense. But I guess that would be a good way to know that this is not the standard, like just a standard bind. We can definitely check that that's something that we worked on. That's good enough. So I will then just re-export this. Super fast to export. Great. And now I want to unbind this and bind it back again. So the weights will be something that we know it's not the correct one. So now we can then try to import our weight. So just to make sure, we're going to initialize this and check the paint, like check here the way it is. So you can see that it is completely random, or just bind to the closest vertex or whatever. So we can then delete this custom node, doesn't matter. It's just for us to check. And then we're going to do import skin cluster weights. Let's see how long it's going to take. That's my main curiosity right now. If it works, right? Still coming along. Oh my god, it's never that fast. And we have no reference of what's going on, so that's the worst. It's a very long list, to be honest. But if it works, it works. If it takes like a minute, it's mostly the same thing as the other one, so it sucks. Or is it done though? It's no way. Hooray! Oh my god, it was blazing fast. Look at that, 20.24 milliseconds. Wow, yeah! Bebê, vem cá, vamos comemorar. Ih, din, din, din. Pá, 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 pá. It works. Hooray! As I always say, it's like the small cheers that you gotta like on this any step you gotta cheer for the results because usually it's all we get. So at least we know that this is working, so we can start making progress from that. Now that's great. It's actually amazing. So let me comment here. Say I'll leave a comment on my own stream so that people know what kind of progress we made today. We made it. Open my export, export, import, skin weights, working. Bam. Nice. This way, it's sometimes it's hard for people to keep up. So we actually made it. Cool. We have here. We can see. So we can even do it again. It's super. It's blowing my mind right now. The how fast it is to import this skin weights here. So if we delete the custom node and we go again and we unbind this and we bind it back again so that we can see that the weights are completely random here. It's being assigned with the Maya, whatever standard method it's using to bind this to assign these weights. Now we delete skin cluster, the ng skin tools node, and if we do import skin weights, like just like that, it's done. Just like that, it's done. And then if we check here, boom, we got it. We got it. This fast. So that means that for the rest of the pieces of geometry, I hope it's going to be less than, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds to import everything. That's really, it's a big leap here from what we had. Well, it's not. It's hard. It's hard to call it a big leap because the other one was 32 minutes to import everything. So now this is just like orders of magnitude faster than the previous method. So yeah, I think this is good progress for today. I mean, we have the method working, and it's still rough on the edges. We have it basically importing from a very specific there's nothing it's not variable right now. It is important from the path. We are giving it the path, and it is hard coded with the node that we have assigned to this mesh here. So basically what I'm going to do then is make next time we're going to be eliminating the stuff that we don't need from this code here and making it variable. See, checking what we need. Do we need to create a skin cluster? Do we need to whatever we're going to need? And yeah, basically optimizing as best as possible this two functions here, and we're done. It's insane. Okay, well, we're done with this particular thing, but it's such a a big leap here. And thanks to Chad Vermont here once again, helped a lot. I'm going to be sending him a message for sure. Let me see if I can find the page here where we were checking him out. Boom, this guy here, Chad. Thank you so much, man. If you ever watch this stream, you're not gonna watch the stream, 100% sure. But maybe with the, if we get some results, maybe this comes across on your eyes, and you helped me a lot on this stream here on this project. It is actually working. Let's see if he saw it. I sent him a invitation, and I didn't get anything yet. Let's hope that he will answer one day. So yeah, that's it. I guess we are done for today. If you stopped by, you checked out the stream, thank you so much for the company, and As usual, we're doing one step after the other. It's a big project for me, and and I have a short chunks of time to work on it. It's just like eating a freaking elephant, and the say goes as the only way of eating an entire elephant is one bite at a time, and that's what we're doing. Just a small bite, and we're moving to the next one on the next stream. And that's it. Hope you're going to have a great weekend wherever you are in the world, if it's evening, afternoon, or if it's, well, it's actually the same thing I just said, but night, day, whatever. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you on the next one.